Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Nature and Biodiversity Reporting Made Easy, aligning with ESRS and TNFD. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Xnatura, the new natural intelligence division of 3B. Today, we will discuss how businesses can integrate biodiversity into their strategy, complying with evolving regulations, and leverage technology for environmental monitoring. Let me introduce myself and my colleague. My name is Virginia Castellucci, Head of Sustainability in Xnatura. Joining me today is Lucrezia Palma, Sustainability Specialist, that you will see later during the demo. Good morning, Lucrezia.
Good morning.
We are super excited to share with you how Xnatura is going to revolutionize biodiversity intelligence. So if you want to explore our website, you can scan the QR code, you can see in the slide. Okay, just before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes. So this is the lineup for today. This session will last about 1 hour. So we'll make an introduction to Xnatura. We're going to look at the reporting framework. So why reporting matters, a brief discussion on the importance of sustainability reporting, the increasing role of biodiversity, and how it ties into corporate responsibility. Then we're going to look to the ESRS and TNFD standards and framework for reporting environmental and biodiversity impacts. And finally, we're going to look at Xnatura platform. As I said before, starting from 12:30, Lucrezia is going to lead you into a Xnatura platform live demo. We're going to look at an incredible case study today. It's the carbon mine, a fascinating example of post-industrial rewilding. And finally, in the last 10 minutes, we're going to have a Q&A session. So feel free to start dropping your question in the chat. Of course, we're going to try to answer to all of your questions. But if you want to make sure we're going to answer to your questions, since they're going to be a lot of questions, feel free to drop your email too, so we may answer you also later. Okay, thank you, Lucrezia. We're going to see you later. Okay, so who is Xnatura? As I said, Xnatura is your biodiversity partner. Xnatura is a leading naturtech environmental platform, including technology for biodiversity monitoring and protection. So Xnatura provides technological solutions for biodiversity assessment, monitoring, regeneration, and dissemination. As you can see here, there are some institutions and our scientific partners. We have more than 15 research centers we partner with, we are collaborating with. Those are just some of them. And those are some of our key numbers. So we are already in more than 25 countries all over the world. We have more than 500 customers. We have spread already more than 10,000 IoT devices all over the world, and we are mapping more than 1 million hectares so far. As I said before, Xnatura is an in-house natural intelligence division of 3B. Of course, it's the division that is focusing on monitoring and managing environmental risk and impacts data. Those are all the technologies that are helping us in giving you data. So remote sensing, lab analysis, sensor on field, and of course on field surveys. And our environmental platform is useful for many reasons and by many actors. First of all, of course, companies, but also municipalities and natural parks. So the platform, it's very useful for all the decision makers of these actors, so companies, municipalities, and natural parks. Okay, we may start with an introduction. So as you know, biodiversity loss is one of the most critical challenges for business. I would also say for the world. So more than 50% of the global GDP depends on ecosystem services. And think about the fact that $44 trillion is the value generated by nature every year. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of value. So those are the 5 reasons why your business should care about biodiversity. First of all, of course, dependencies. So businesses rely a lot on natural resources and ecosystem services like pollination, clear water. And so the biodiversity loss threatens a lot the supply chain and the operation of businesses. The second reason why you should care about biodiversity is the reporting. In fact, regulation like CSRD require companies to assess and disclose their biodiversity impact. Third reason are investors. So ESG focused investor demand transparency on nature-related risks, influencing natural capital accesses and financial stability. And finally, the first reason, but the least but not the last, are consumers. So there is a growing awareness that drives the demand of consumers today. So we're going to look at these 4 reasons. So as I said, dependencies, as you can see in the slide, businesses impact a lot on nature, on biodiversity, but they also depend a lot on nature and biodiversity. So this is the first reason you should start caring about biodiversity. The second reason, as I said, is reporting. I know that this is changing a lot due to the omnibus legislative package that was released last week. But still, this package will have to be, approved by the EU Parliament. So in that case, we're going to see what happens. So how many companies will have to report about sustainability and biodiversity, but still 10,000 companies will have to report about biodiversity. The third reason, as I said, is investor. So financial institutions play a crucial role in either accelerating or mitigating the degradation of natural capital through their investment and financing decisions. And finally, consumers. So the 50% of millennial and Gen Z are willing to pay up to 10% more for product made sustainably, while only 30%, 34% and 23% of previous generations. So if we're going to look at the future, of course, of consumer, we're going to look at the new generation, and they care a lot about sustainability and about nature. So about double materiality. So as you know, the new standards, the new European standards, they are built up with double materiality that requires businesses to consider 2 perspectives. So impact materiality and financial materiality. Impact materiality, so how the company's activities affect biodiversity and ecosystem, including environmental degradation, resource consumption, and land use. But on the other side, there's also financial materiality. So how biodiversity loss and ecosystem degradation creates risk and opportunity that can financially impact the company. So these are the list of all the sectors that will have to report about biodiversity, since biodiversity is material for the sector. So as you can see, the list includes a lot of industry, from agriculture to forestry, construction, oil and gas, food and beverages, water and waste services, paper and wood products. So there are just few industrial sectors that are not included in the list of biodiversity materiality. Of course, this is the list reported by TNFD, okay? And also the ESRS refers to TNFD in order to establish who are the sectors that might report on biodiversity. So, as you know, those are the ESRS standard released by EFRAG. They provide a clear framework for assessing, managing, and reporting biodiversity-related risk and impacts. So, according to these standards, there are some KPI that must be included in the reporting, such as MSA, so the mean species abundance that you're going to see later on the DEMO platform. The MSA measure biodiversity loss compared to undisturbed ecosystem, and it's very effective to have a summarized KPI on biodiversity, but also another metric is very important. It's the KBA, so the key biodiversity areas. So also the protected areas, the list of the protected areas are listed on the platform, and you're going to see later also on the demo. Of course, the ESRS, it's also aligned with TNFD and its LEAP approach. So now we're going to look at the 5-step for an easy and effective reporting, okay? So the first step is measuring. We cannot do anything without measuring and taking decision after we have measured. So if we measure, then we can take really thoughtful decision. Then we can prioritize the steps we're going to do. Then we can set targets and finally act. Of course, when we have done all these first steps, the last step is disclose and track. And this is very important. So let's see how the platform can actually help you by measuring all the data. We actually, in this case, use a lot of technologies all together. You saw it at the beginning. So remote sensing with land cover and a lot of KPIs, and also public database. Of course, in the measure phase, the goal is to collect and organize highest quality, transparent, integrated data for your business to make it the more complete possible. And Xnatura use multiple data sources, as I said. So remote sensing, but also a lot of data from sensor on the ground. In this case, we use a lot of IoT sensors such as Spectrum or Birdie. So Spectrum and Birdie are our bioacoustic sensor that through continuous monitoring assess the diversity and the frequency of pollinators and avifauna, so birds. So here you can see some of our sensor in the image. This is the Spectrum actually, and also the platform with the birds. Of course, we also use camera traps with artificial intelligence in order to capture images of mammals and animals. We can use also the Polyx, that is the sensor we use to monitor air quality. And finally, HiveTech, which is an IoT system that monitors the health of the beehive. It's not it. Actually, we use also other technologies such as on-field service and lab analysis in order to gather all the information we need to give you in the platform. For that, we use our Biodiversity app that is really useful in order to get information of the plants in the field. And of course, lab analysis, we can take some sample of the ground and scan it through eDNA. So the second step is prioritize. So after the measurement phase, the goal is to collect and organize high quality, transparent, and integrated data for the business to make it more complete possible. So, for example, in this case, you can see that we are prioritizing different asset of a company. So each dot, it's an asset, and we are comparing all the assets to key KPIs, which are hydrogeological risk and pollinator abundance. The third step is setting targets. This is a very important step, and it's very important to do so after we have collected data, so we can set targets that are that you are gonna able to reach. Actually, there are many ways we can set targets. We can set target comparing your data to control to the control area, so the area that surrounds the asset, the area we are taking into consideration. Also, we can set targets by benchmarking against with other industry standards. And finally, we can set target by looking at some existing regulation. So Half Earth regenerated 30% with the natural restoration law or other regulation. So the first step is acting. Of course, once we have collected data, prioritize, and setting that targets, we need to act. So through X Natura, you can have a biodiversity strategy, so for the entire company. So if we are monitoring all the assets of your business by targeting, by target identification, business plan is strategy and scenario analysis, but we also can develop a biodiversity action plan for a site specific. So for each site, we can provide you a biodiversity action plan that will comprehend monitoring, regeneration, and engagement. The last step is disclose and track. Of course, this is a very important step because biodiversity reporting is not just about compliance, but it's a proof of commitment. So thanks to X Natura, you have all the data in a single platform. And this is very, very useful for reporting, but also to communicate to stakeholders. So as you can see, there's a screenshot of a report, but also a screenshot of how the platform is going to deliver the report to you. So the good point about the disclosure is that we have AI-generated report that, of course, are always reviewed by experts, so our nature strategist. You have a long-term monitoring, so you can track also over time, and it's very useful, and it's lovely to have all the data over time in a single platform. Of course, our platform is CSRD compliant, and we also have developed the platform in order to be aligned with the main international standards and frameworks such as TNFD and SBTN. Okay, so I wanted to give you an idea of how we have aligned our platform to TNFD and the LEAP approach. So, as you know, TNFD is the task force on nature-related financial disclosure, okay? And they have structured an approach that we really like, which is the LEAP. So it's locate, evaluate, assess, and prepare. And of course, our platform is completely aligning with that approach. So first of all, we can locate. So X Natura can use satellite images and also other public database in order to analyze land use, detect biodiversity hotspot, and identify key biodiversity areas, providing a data-driven foundation for strategic decision-making. Of course, evaluate, so the platform assess nature-related impact and dependencies, helping businesses understand their reliance on an ecosystem services. Assess, of course, X Natura quantifies biodiversity-related risk and opportunities by integrating key indicators such as MSA, land use, MSA control, and other KPIs you're going to look at later during the demo. And then we have prepare. So the platform supports target setting based on industry benchmark, control areas, and regulatory goals. So as you can see, those are all the platform benefits. So we can simplify your data collection in a single site analysis. It's a really click to generate technical reports. So you have reports straight away. You have always the support of a dedicated expert. So of course, our strategist. You can have multi-site and multi-user management with the platform. It's compliant with the international regulation and reports integrated into sustainability statements. So our environmental platform, it's a one-stop solution for biodiversity, nature, climate risk, impact, and dependencies assessment. So as you can see, we are already using the platform with many clients across different industries, such as the agricultural industry, the energy and the infrastructure sector, the industry and the production sites, and of course, municipalities and natural parks. You can see also some of our main customers in all these industries. And we may say that we have two main approaches. So we can have you can have also both, of course, but you can have portfolio approach or site-specific approach. So in the portfolio approach, you can make site prioritization. So by identifying, the main sites and the main site to prioritize on biodiversity, climate, and nature. This depends, of course, to you and to the KPIs you want to prioritize all the sites. In the portfolio approach, you also have double materiality, so identifying all your impacts and risks related to nature. And of course, you can have a biodiversity strategy for the entire company. So you have a transition and strategy plan for biodiversity and nature compliant with TNFD, SBTN, and GBF. In the site-specific approach, you have the remote biodiversity assessment. So we are going to look actually at a case study now with Lucrezia that is a site-specific approach. So the remote biodiversity assessment with satellite and big data analysis, the action plan on biodiversity and nature regeneration plan, so the action plan on the specific site. And finally, you can also add on-field biodiversity monitoring with all the sensors we talked before, so Spectrum, Birdie, PolyX, and HiveTech. So, okay, now we're gonna look at the platform. So I ask kindly Lucrezia to join me on stage. So we're gonna make a demo session about carbon mine, ex-carbon mine, because actually it's an example of post-industrial rewilding, where nature has reclaimed former mining and cooking plant areas. So Lucrezia is gonna, create with you directly a site. You're gonna explore the status, the impacts, and the risk of the site. And you're gonna look at the generation IE function, and you're gonna study whether the nature and biodiversity through the main KPIs delivered by the platform.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Virginia, for your introduction and for the regulatory framework. I will share my screen now so you can follow me on the journey here. And there you go. So this is going to be how the platform looks like. Everything that you see here is modifiable. You can also change the images, describe your project and your project with X Natura, and so on. But let's dive into the monitoring section where we start to create your site. So as Virginia said, we're going to create a new site that is going to be a carbon mine site. So I will call my site Carbon Mine, and I would say that it is an open pit carbon mine. And the one that we're going to analyze today is in the Zollverein in Essen, which is in Germany. So basically what the platform do, it creates the site based on the indication that we are providing. But in this case, we don't have the exact, let's say, shapefile, the KML, that would be uploaded here by just uploading the file. In this case, what we're going to do, which is also funny, we're going to try to find the mine here by using the satellite. And we're going to see that here is all agriculture field. But if we scroll down, we will see here a big dot here that it is our mine. So what we would do in this case is to use the shapefile, and we're going to start draw the, let's say, the perimeter of the area that we want to analyze. And I will do like this, just to have, let's say, a not so precise perimeter, but it's just to show you. I forgot to remove my camera so it doesn't block, maybe. So that's it. You would be able to follow me anyway. So we are here, we generated the perimeter, but we want also to see the control area. So I'll have 1 kilometers of control area, which is the area, the white area here that you can see, which would be the benchmark of our site. So to see where the site is located and what is the impact on and the dependencies on the state, on the biodiversity around. So I will name this one baseline, which is where we start to monitor, and I will put save. In this case, the platform is generating our site. So there you go. We have our shapefile and our control area. And we also have the, let's say, the locate phase in the TNFD, which is the localization with the GPS, the city, the region. And I will also put the biome here. So I put temperate boreal forest and woodlands. It would be generated automatically here. And then we have this part here, which is very interesting to be customized with generative AI. So everything that you see here, production processes, are of course generated by the generative AI, but we could also change the input. For example, if I know that in the mines iron ores or hard coal is produced, we could also add it, and then the site description activity would be conform to what the input was. As Virginia said, this is a closed mine, so we don't have these production processes, but it's just to show you. And the same thing for the regulatory context. So we go here, we put the prompt, we generate it, and then we have all the text based on the generative AI. Of course, everything that you input here is changeable. So just to show you, I will change here and I go to the same site, but this is all completed. So you see here, everything has been generated, but I can change it. I can put other font, other link, and so on. Why is that useful? It's useful for your, let's say, for your site to be monitored, but also to have, let's say, a description that you could share with stakeholders and so on. So in this case, I put council, and I see that I have all the part here regarding the localization that is generated. Okay, so let's dive into the KPIs that we're monitoring. So let's start with the land cover. So what do we see? We see that some parts are green and has been regenerated, but still there is a mineral extraction site, let's say, analyzed by the satellite images, which means that we still have some parts that are just rocks and not natural parts. We could also see that in this area here that we took some agricultural field inside. We can see which type of culture they're of course, let's say, growing. We have some forests and so on. So this is generated in 5 minutes by the platform. So here I will go to the old one. You can see here, generate CLC. You can generate it, and you could also add the Biodiversa. Biodiversa, of course, was the app that Virginia showed you before. It is an app developed by us last year that helps you to scan the plants and have the result of which species it is. So in this case, I'll go back again to this one. If I put remark, I can see this dot here. So I zoom in and I see that there are some plants that has been scanned. So the common yarrow and a species of insect as well. So this is also based on Biodiversity and INAT, which is another app, which is very interesting because it combines natural, let's say, citizen science and a more specific data on the ground, on the field. So for every KPI that you have here, let's say protected areas, you could also have a legend. So what I'm looking at protected areas, and I can download the data from here. So let's see, for example, the protected areas and how many of these are present in the area that we're analyzing. So they are a lot. We can also scroll down here and see which area is nearest or how far it is from the site. But everything that you see here from the map, you can also see in the dashboard below. So I scroll down gently, sorry for your headache. I go here and I see protected areas. So you see they are a lot. Why we are analyzing protected areas? Because basically the normative asks us so, but also because it's really important for biodiversity in order to see if we are in the middle of an ecological corridor, for example, and see if my site, my infrastructure is a barrier for animal species and plant species. So let's go up again and see something else regarding the map. So I want to see, for example, the hydrological risk and see if I am in a very risky area or not. In this case, it is orange, so it is quite high. Everything that you don't know, let's say, how to interpret, you can go here and you will have the source and the legend as well. So it is medium and non-negligible risk. So what else? What I want to see by the hydrological risk, it is also found in the dashboard at the end of our platform. That is the physical hazard. So you see here, hydrological risk, the risk is 4 out of 5, which is quite high. And it is also important to see that 7 past events happens during the last few years. And this means we are in a very hydrological risk area. Also based on the flooding that happens in 2017-18 in that area. We could also see the prediction, so the future events that are going to happen based on the probability of a generic event and a high intensity event as well. You could also, let's say, choose the scenario, the IPC scenario, the best one or the worst one, in order to see if the percentage change. As for landslides and erosion risk, we don't have that much since we are on a plane, so we don't have those kind of risk here. So let's go up a little bit again and see, let's say, the land use. So we saw that the area that we're analyzing is on very agricultural land. So we can see the yellow area here is almost all agriculture, but we see there is a part of natural area, which is the area that has been regenerated in the mine. We also see on artificial surfaces, which is quite high, but let's keep in mind that it is closed, but it's still recognized as a human presence there in the site. As for the land use, you could also see the covering of natural habitats, the impervious soil ratio, the water coverage, and so on. And everything that you see is also analyzed for the site and for the control area. So we saw before that the white area around was super useful for us to see how the site is located, where the site is located. And we also have the comparison here through all the indicators. So let's go to see the status of urbanization. So in this case, it's not that useful for the size. Of course, we don't have urbanized area in the mining site, but if we put control area, you see that it increased a little bit. The same for population density. It increased a little bit, but not that much, since we are not in a city, but in an agricultural field. So Let's go up again and see that everything that I'm showing you is also, let's say, summarized in this table here, which is the highlights table about status and impact and risk. So in this case, we saw the hydrological risk was quite high, and here you have the, let's say, the indicator in a macro category, and we could also see the aridity, permeability. So everything that you see here is also analyzed in the KPI below. Here we are analyzing all of them, but if we put E3 or E4, which is the most important one for us, of course, biodiversity, you could also see, let's say, the KPI based on the E of the EFRAG that we're analyzing, so based on the ESRS standard. So let's see something else about biodiversity. So let's say the most important indicator to analyze biodiversity, which is the MSA, which is shown here. So you could see here that we have, of course, the site and the control area, and also a section here that is also useful to set some targets. Virginia told us before we need to start our action based also on the targets that we are aiming to. So in this case, we could also choose to see if we match the control area. So the MSA for the site is equal the MSA for the control area, or the Alford, and so on. You could also change the target based on what is your project. So here we're analyzing the MSA from land use. If you don't know what the MSA is, you could also see it here from the legend, and you could also see the source here, so where we are taking all the data. The one that I pressed before, this one is very useful, is the technical commentary, which is used by our nature strategists in order to analyze the KPI that we're monitoring and to put a technical comment, which is also, of course, shareable with the stakeholders and so on. So let's say that we also want to analyze the microclimate. So let's say the climate in general for the area. Nothing special, of course. The temperature is rising as almost everywhere. You could also see the temperature in recent year, in the past, and in the future, also based on the IPC scenario, the best one, the worst one, and so on. And you could do the same for precipitation. You could also see the rain, how it has been changing in the last 3, 10, or 50 years, which is very useful to have let's say, an overall description of how the climate is going, and the aridity, of course. So let's go back at the top of the platform and let's analyze this one. So we told you before, this is a closed mine. So of course, these production processes are not ongoing right now, but let's pretend it is active. You would have this kind of processes based on NCore, which is the database where we took the data from. And we have mining of charcoal, mining of lignite, and we have the impact based on going from very low to very high. Let's pretend we are the owner of the mine, and we had done before previous analysis based on, say, specific analysis that we made, not based on a database, but on specific data that we collected. And we see that the area of fresh use, so the impact for water is not high, but it's another, let's say, value. We could also change it here, put the new reach, put the irremediability, and also change the impact description. And we can also add questions. This is the part that the nature strategist would do. So it would input the questions in order to the client to answer and to change and to, let's say, be more precise on the impact. So this I wanted to show you in order for you to understand how everything it is integratable in the platform, that it is also based on database, but could also integrate other types of analysis. The same you could do for the dependencies, and it would give you, of course, the impact and dependencies analysis based on the calculation that you made, all divided into the ESRS that we were seeing before. So another thing that we integrated is the financial risk and opportunities. It is on a new component. I guess it was dropped 3 days ago. So it is also to be compliant with the normative in order to analyze the risk and opportunities in a economic way. So let's go up again and see what else we could see as KPI. So for example, we have the ground temperature in order to analyze the heat island. You could see here that it would be, of course, very red if the mine would be open. Instead, it's quite, let's say, cold. Here you could see, for example, buildings that are very red. It means they are very hot, of course. This is very useful for example, production sites that are immersed in nature. And we could also see the RGB in low or high resolution. This has to be generated, and you could also generate it for more than one time. So you have all the historic here, and you can see how nature has changed during the time. And another thing that is very useful to understand for us is the pollinator. So we go here and we put pollinators abundance. So we have all the KPIs for pollinators: nesting suitability, nectar potential, mean species abundance, and so on. But as Virginia told you before, we also have some sensors. So I wanted to show you a real platform where we put the sensors. So you see here the spectrum. That is the one that Virginia showed you before in the slide, the yellow one. So the spectrum helps us to have a benchmark based on a on-field analysis, and it analyzes the pollinators per hour per year. In this case, we are in a farm, in an agricultural farm in Italy. We install 6 spectrum, I guess. We can scroll down. At the end of the platform, we have the sensor measurement. And you can see here that for each code, we have a spectrum that analyzed these pollinators. It is not the exact species, but is the cluster. So you can see that the highest the frequency is, the thinnest, the smallest the insect is. The same would be visualized for birds. So the birdie sensor that Virginia told us before. And as for camera traps, so small mammals. So everything that you saw in the platform is also, it develops a report based on generative AI that is also, of course, reviewed by our nature strategists, and it is given to the company in order to have, let's say, an overview of the status of nature and climate, and of course, biodiversity. Everything that the platforms does is, let's say, a joint of databases, remote sensing, sensors on the ground, but also, of course, the nature strategies work. So I guess this was useful. You saw that we have plenty of indicators, both in the map and both here in the dashboard. I went through basically everything. So it should be very, very useful to you to have an insight of what we are analyzing. But let's say that if you have any specific question, or if you want to see how the site that you are working on is doing regarding biodiversity and nature, you could also book a demo with us, and we could do the same that we've done today, but for your site, let's say. So thank you for your attention, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you, Lucrezia. This was super useful. So if you want to have the white paper, we have prepared for you on nature and biodiversity reporting made easy. So it's basically what we have see today, but with more details. You can scan the QR code and have, this white paper. Of course, if you were registered in StreamYard, you will also receive everything in the newsletter later on. But if you're watching us from LinkedIn, I suggest you to scan the QR code so you can get the white paper super easily. We noticed that you are dropping by a lot of questions, so we're going to move in a very short to the Q&A session. I just wanted to tell you about our next events. So you're going to find us in 2 days in Rimini at the Key Energy Transition Export. Our team is going to be there along with our COO, Simone Mazzola. We're going to also participate in 2 speeches you see here. So if you're in Rimini, drop there. We have a stand, so you can meet our team. The following week, we're going to be in London. Also, myself, I'm going to be there at the Economist Impact Sustainability Week, the 11th and the 12th of March. We're also going to have a panel discussion there. So if you're going to join this event, you're going to find our stand there. So meet our team. Now is the time for our question. So one of the first questions we received is how to define indicators that are quick to monitor and give us early warning. So about that, our platform serves a comprehensive reporting tool that manages essential data on various environmental factors such as hydrogeological risk, aridity, precipitation, temperature, wildfires. Of course, it integrates both historical data and future projection utilizing IPCC scenarios. It does not function as an early warning system for immediate emergency, but it is specifically designed to support informed decision-making for medium and long-term management. So this is how you may use our platform. Now we have another question that is the system already implemented? And how can I add new production site in the platform? Of course, the platform already exists. A lot of clients are already using it, and yes, you can have more sites in a single platform in order to have all the data in a single site, in a single platform. Of course, yes, we cover Asia, we cover all over the world. As I said before, we are monitoring more than 1 million hectares all over the world. And the platform, yes, exists also in other languages. We already have it in English, Italian, French, Spanish, and Deutsch. Okay, we have another question. So usually the biggest negative biodiversity impact of companies occurs in the value chain. Yes, we know that. So the tool is very useful also to leverage risk assessment of the supply chain. You can have all the supply chains, so clients, but also suppliers, upstream and downstream, and it's all in the platform. Okay, are multiple polygons analysis included? Yes, and this is especially useful for the agriculture sector, since sometimes camps are very fragmented. So yes, you can have different polygons. Is there some kind of automatic report that can be downloaded from here, ESRS and GRI compliant? This is also a yes. The platform allows you to download an automatic report generated by AI, but also reviewed by our network strategies. And it's, of course, aligned with ESRS, GRI 101, and TNFD. Are you able to monetize risk from these impacts and dependencies? Also, why did you choose MSA instead of any other metric for the biodiversity management? This is a very interesting question. So leave the question there so I can look at it. Thank you. So why the MSA? I want to start there. So MSA, first of all, it's it's cited by all the standards. So ESRS, GRI, TNFD. and it's a very valuable KPI since it's an absolute value. It's not like, for example, it's not an absolute value. It's not like Shannon index. It's a KPI that has a benchmark in itself because it tells you how biodiversity is compared to its natural status. So it's a benchmark itself. So why we rely on it and why we think it's the summarized KPI on biodiversity. Of course, we are able to monetize risk. This is done with a matrix that our strategies made for you, and includes the risk and the probability that something is going to happen in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years. If the scope is about significantly big organization, for example, franchise with hundreds of different sites across the globe, okay, it is possible to have some kind of consolidated view on the organization impact and dependencies as a whole, particularly useful for regulation. Yes, this is what I actually said before about the portfolio approach. This is a perfect example of a portfolio approach. So thanks to the portfolio approach, you have all the assets around the globe, and it's possible to have all it in one platform. Okay. Are you based on global climate change scenarios, or are you able to use CCC scenarios? Are you based on global climate change scenarios, or are you able to use local CC scenarios?
Capaci di...
Okay, I needed some help to understand the question. So yes, we are able to understand the risk on the global scenario. I don't know how many other questions we have. It is possible to accurately measure with this tool the impact on or a regeneration project. Yes. Reforestation, for example, after 1 year of implementation. Yes, this is a very interesting question. So we may have seen maybe just the impact, but you can, of course, with the platform, of course, you can also include the regeneration phase, and you can have all data about the regeneration and how has that changed the KPIs over time thanks to the regeneration. How can I join in que sense? How can I join? Okay, so how can you join the platform? So you may you may contact us, and we may show you how can you join X Natura and have it for your business.
Questa...
Okay, so the next question is, does the platform provide REST API to share data with other platforms? Yes, we have REST APIs, but they're not public yet. So we are gonna, aware to you when they are gonna be public. Is there any risk of greenwashing issue relieving from this innovative approach? I mean, actually, the platform is, let's say, against greenwashing since it's based on transparent data. So there's no risk of greenwashing with the platform because it tells you the real-time data. So you can rely on the platform to have all the data you need in order to make some disclosure. So I would say no risk of greenwashing. Okay. I think we have answered to all the questions. And if you want to know more about the platform, you can contact us. You have our emails. You can book a demo also with the QR code. We really appreciated you being here. I hope you enjoyed, this hour together. I hope you got a lot of information. As I said before, if you're going to be in Key Energy event or next week in the Sustainability Week in London, feel free to, meet us. And I think there is another question coming. Last question before closing the session.
Abbiamo capito domande, digli che altri rispondiamo per mail.
I was asking before, I'm a sustainability project coordinator in Cameroon implementing EU regulation on traceability. Okay. Okay, this is not actually a question. Okay. So if there's going to be other question, we can answer to them by email. So leave your email there so we can reach out to you. Thank you. This was very good session. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.